You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show podcast, powered by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Try a Tito's Handmade Margarita today.
WRKS Pickens Jackson. Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio. We're back. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
What is that thing?
The Zone.
Oh, I love this mentality. Now maybe the Florida Gators are going to jump into it. Let's just keep turning over coaches. I mean, it worked at Tennessee and Texas. No, it didn't. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Woo! Brought to you by Cypress Depot in Ridgeland, the leading supplier of cypress and hardwoods in the Southeast. The leading supplier of cypress and hardwoods in the Southeast and in Mississippi, located in Ridgeland, cypressdepot.com. Beautiful work, residential and commercial, cypressdepot.com. Good morning, welcome in, Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Thanks for making us your sports and entertainment show of choice. We appreciate you hitting the podcast, going to Apple Podcasts, searching the Out of Bounds Show, and Spotify, Podbean. We've had a record year, and October was unbelievable, and November has been even better. So thanks for going to Apple Podcasts, searching the Out of Bounds Show. Would love for you to click subscribe. That would be cool too. The show is brought to you by Two Brothers. Two Brothers Smoked Meats in Starkville, delicious game day sliders and street tacos, and of course their famous wings, all at Two Brothers in the historic Cotton District in Starkville. Also Sellers Wine and Spirits for all your game day wine and spirits. Sellers Wine and Spirits, Russell Street in Starkville in the Cotton District. Obviously, State will play tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. against Tennessee State. Eddie George is the head coach there. He played at Ohio State with the Tennessee Titans. Eddie George, man. That's a cool cat. Heck of a player. He was a throwback player for sure. You know, a bruiser, so to speak. Perfect for Jeff Fisher. But played with a legend from here, Steve McNair, the late Air McNair. He and Eddie George and the Titans were rolling for a minute there. That's for sure. And then tomorrow night, Ole Miss will host Vanderbilt as a 36.5-point favorite. Lee Sterling seems to believe that Lane Train is going to get the starters out as soon as he can. And that makes sense. I'm sure Leach wants to do the same thing. You know, get some tutties, as Blake likes to call them, and get up and then start subbing because the game is so big next Thursday with the Golden Egg game in Starkville. And with MSU, Ole Miss was already excited. With MSU beating Auburn, people are going nuts. And we'll see how that looks next Thursday night. Could be at one of those epic, very, very, very competitive games on Thursday night in Starkville. It will be a packed house, 64,000. It'll be nuts. It'll be loud. It'll be on Thanksgiving, and it is only 6 days away. And then we have the silly season, and of course the coaching carousel, which is nuts. And this could be the biggest one to date as far as big top 10, top 15 programs turning over. Already got a couple of them. We've got some more on the way, and most people, you know, they don't think that Dan Mullen will make it at Florida. It is truly hard for me to wrap my brain around that he was in the SEC championship game last year, that they were doing pretty well this year, that they played a very competitive game against Alabama this year, and the Kentucky game, everything just fell apart. They lost 20-13. Kentucky blocks a field goal, returns it for a touchdown, and from there, the wheels absolutely and totally fall off. And Mullen may be fired next weekend. We'll see. Now, if he beats Missouri and Florida State, which I don't think they'll beat both of them, they may win one of the two.
What's crazy is they're double-digit point. They're 10-point favorites against FSU, and they're 9 to 9.5 point favorites against Missouri.
I know, man. And I'm not saying, Blake, that I'd just be shocked.
But kind of you would be shocked
if they won both. But yeah, But then again, all of our teams, Ole Miss, MSU, even Florida, all of our teams are Jekyll and Hyde week to week. It's just part of the landscape of trying to get 18 to 23-year-olds up and running, and to be they're not going to play their A game every weekend, and sometimes you're not even going to bring your B. And in this day and age, when you don't, for the most part, other than just a couple of teams, Blake, if you don't have your A or your B, it doesn't matter who you're matched up against. Even if you're in a G5 game, you can lose.
You mean like Memphis?
like Memphis or any number of games. Memphis is one of the better G5 teams. I'm talking about teams that don't recruit as many good athletes as Memphis does. So, which, by the way, Memphis plays at Houston tonight. Did not realize that until I just looked here at the schedule. Memphis at Houston.
So, let me ask you this question. Isn't it interesting how we've just done a whole show basically saying, without it being actually true, that Miami's job is open and Florida's job is open? Isn't that interesting how we have reverted as college football fans? And I think rightfully so, given the state of the college football landscape. But our measuring stick of you have to be 10-2 or your season wasn't any good, we have moved on to the point where we are now like firing coaches with months left in the season mentally. You know what I mean? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Obviously, Squirrel doesn't get it. God bless him.
I don't read his text messages.
Yeah, I don't know why I did. I just lost that 5 seconds of my life. Yeah, Blake, look, you don't fire your AD and get everybody all together if you're keeping Manny Diaz. And I just don't think Dan is going to make it. He alienated, I think, too much of the fan base in basically one press conference, but I guess you could say more than that. And after winning big and turning the program around, they won't change again. And I think it'll be a rude awakening. Look, every now and then you hit. But, they also missed on Ron Zook and Muschamp and McElwain. But I wonder if Scott Strickland has to make the change to save his gig.
Yep.
And I don't know that, but in other words, if he can convince the Florida chancellor or president, hey, we need to give Dan the opportunity to retool his staff, then it doesn't work, do they give Scott the opportunity to make the hire next year? And I think if you make a new hire in a week and a half, it probably buys Strickland 2 more years, Blake.
I agree. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, it's a cutthroat world where it's eat or be eaten. And Scott Strickland might like Mullen, but he likes getting a paycheck more.
Exactly. Well, yeah, Scott's making $100,000 a month, and so he's going to make whatever move just like anybody would. He's going to make whatever move he's got to make, to continue the deal. So we'll keep an eye. Can you imagine Florida and Miami coming open on Sunday morning after rivalry week, a week from this Sunday? Absolutely incredible. Hey, can we talk about Applebee's on the other side, Blake? The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by Boar's Head, premium meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere. All right, the Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Bulldog Burger in Ridgeland. Bulldog Burger, delicious burgers, appetizers. Blake's selling their fried chicken sandwich at Bulldog Burger. Ridgeland, Starkville, Tupelo. Great selection of craft beer. You can sit outside and enjoy the games. They got heaters. You're good. It's right there before the spillway. All right? So you can't miss it. Bulldog Burger in Ridgeland on Lake Harbor. You know where I'm talking about. So if you're coming from Rankin County, it's right off the spillway. If you're going to Rankin County, it's right before the spillway. Bulldog Burger, Ridgeland, Starkville, Tupelo. Lunch and dinner with Bulldog Burger. Welcome in. Good morning. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. The show's also brought to you by Sellers Wine and Spirits in Starkville, Russell Street, Cotton District. Sellers Wine and Spirits in Starkville. Blake, this is a great story. So we've talked a little bit about name, image, likeness, and both the success and the swing and miss part of it. And I think it's good. I'm glad that men and women get to do deals or whatever they can find. Some will work, some won't. The overwhelming majority of them will not. But if you're crafty enough and so on, and you can figure it out and drill pretty local, then I think you can get some runway and so on. But really some connectivity. It's not a lot of time to build an audience though, so there is something to that as somebody who's been in sports marketing for 20 years. But anyway, this is hilarious. Jared Casey, for our listeners, you've never heard of him. Okay? Jared Casey is a player on the Kansas Jayhawks team. Most of you have never watched one snap of Kansas Jayhawk football, and I don't blame you.
You're missing out.
So, yeah. They played Texas, the mighty Longhorns, over the weekend and beat them in overtime, and this dude caught the two-point conversion to win it in OT. And afterwards, Applebee's signed him for a deal. It may have been local.
Genius.
And Blake, you said it was $800 and a $1,000 gift card?
Yeah, so Casey is a walk-on tight end who had never played a single offensive snap all season. And they put him in for this two-point conversion, and he gets it. And so Applebee's then signs him to and I think it is like a region, like a Kansas Applebee's type thing or whatever.
Sure.
But they sign him to a deal, and he does a commercial where they dropped what went viral was his parents were in the stadium, and they didn't even realize it was him catching the pass until after it happened. They're like, I think that was Jared. And they're going crazy. And it's a great video, and it went viral, of course, because who doesn't love seeing parents watch their kids succeed? It's a cool moment.
Sure.
But yeah, they do the deal with, as soon as he gets back to Kansas, the Applebee's does a deal with him, and they paid him $800 in cash and $1,000 in Applebee's gift cards to do this commercial where he basically makes a joke. Applebee's has that 2 for $20 meal or whatever, where you get like an appetizer and 2 entrees for $20, something like that, whatever. And he goes, "You always have to go for 2," and then he winks at the camera. It's just genius. It's a great commercial. Great commercial for a kid who, before the weekend, had never done anything but like run down on punt coverage. It's incredible.
Oh, that's so. And they dropped off 2 for $22 at Applebee's.
That's right. That's the deal. They're promoting their 2 for $22, and his whole catchphrase is, "You got to go for 2. You always go for 2." Right? Because Kansas won by going for 2. Yeah, at Texas, which is
I love it. Of course, Applebee's, one of our favorite restaurants on the show.
That actually, Jackson Meadows used to tout the Applebee's happy hours.
I know. I know he did. I know it. Oh, you got to love him for it. So I just watched it before the show, and I've watched it a couple more times. And the commercial is awesome. I just quote tweeted it. So if you go to @BoBounds on Twitter, you can find it.
Yeah, it's
at Bo Bounds on Twitter.
The commercial starts with him it's done very camera in hand, so it's not supposed to look like it's a huge professional thing, and it's him getting out of a car, and the liner says Jared Casey, Kansas football legend. So he's caught one pass. It's incredible.
Kansas football legend.
Isn't that what the NIL really is about, though? It's not the $80,000 deal to the Miami quarterback or the $100,000 deal to the Oklahoma quarterback.
You just nailed it.
It's the local kids and local businesses giving back to the schools that they already love and support for cool, unique ways.
Okay, you just hit it. It's this is where people missed. And it's why we haven't done one yet. But we will do an NIL deal at some point. But it's the local barbecue joint that gives a kid $400, like you said, $400 cash and $400 gift certificate, and you make a cheesy video of him smashing some barbecue, and it goes viral within your fan base.
Yep.
And you can get some traction via, here's an idea, customers at your place. These guys are not going to sell 47, Dodge Ram trucks or 200, whatever. It's not going to happen. So, that's kind of where that's kind of what we're looking at. I think the Mississippi State baseball team is trying to do some cool things. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. And I do like the units, like getting a whole offensive line unit at like a buffet in Oxford or Starkville or Tuscaloosa. And, giving everybody a couple $100 and then another $100 or so of gift certificates, show them eating a bunch of blue plates or whatever. You can get something there, but
it's like what I think Moe's Barbecue does it for the offensive line in Starkville. I know Arkansas had a barbecue place sponsored their offensive line up in Fayetteville. So, like you said, that's the reach is not Dr. Pepper signing 4 big quarterbacks and trying to sell more DPs across the country. Yeah. The profound is local.
Right. Yeah. A national deal is not going to work 99% of the time. Hey, I was looking at this. This guy decided to look at every head coach and decide what they would be if football didn't exist in the NFL.
Great thread.
It's a great thread. And Andy Reid, he has as an owner of a local chain of barbecue joints, which I thought was great. Brandon Staley, who most of y'all don't know, he's the L.A. Chargers head coach, and he looks like he's 20 years old.
I was about to say.
And they have Brandon Staley as a youth pastor, which is awesome.
My favorite is where they go to Bill Belichick, and he goes, somehow still a football coach.
That's good, too. I love the one of Sean McDermott. He's the Buffalo Bills head coach. They have him as a head nurse.
He does look like that, though, too, doesn't he?
No doubt. David Culley, who I didn't even know who that was, by the way, and I know most of these guys. They have David Culley, who is in the AFC South, I guess is the
Texans.
Yeah, nobody cares about the Texans. There you go. They have him as a vice principal. The Frank Reich thing is pretty good. He's an AP World History teacher. He's the head coach for the Indianapolis Colts.
How about the Pete Carroll one to bring it home for some of our listeners who know what Pete Carroll looks like for sure? He's the owner of a local chain of moderately priced furniture stores, but he's somehow worth $15 million.
Yes, and there's people like that all over the country.
That is exactly what Pete Carroll looks like, though.
I love Cliff Kingsbury, who is with the Arizona Cardinals, coaching Kyler Murray. They have him as a personal injury attorney. I thought that was really good. Where's my man here?
Sean Payton?
Oh, my gosh. I got to save this one. I got to save this one right here. Oh, this is great. Mike McCarthy and Joe Judge, as good as it gets, will tell you what they would be if they were not NFL coaches. I got to get to Sean. Oh, my gosh. Sean Payton's a grand slam, too. This is delicious. This is going to be fun content. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Sal and Mookie's. in Madison between Kroger and Home Depot, Colony Crossing. You're listening to the Out of Bounds podcast, brought to you by the Premium Cigars at Havana Smoke Shop in Jackson and on the Reservoir. Havana Smoke Shop for your premium cigars. All right, get ready for Thanksgiving at Corner Market in Belhaven, Corner Market in Fondren, Corner Market Northside Drive, the official grocery store of the Out of Bounds show, Corner Market. Also, a great selection of Boar's Head. Get ready for game day pizzas, Boar's Head premium meats, game day nachos, Boar's Head premium meats, game day sliders, Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere. You can find Boar's Head at many of your grocery stores, but we know you can find it at Corner Market. Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere. Good morning. Welcome in. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. If you're looking to try a new beer over the holidays, we happen to have the number one American IPA beer on our show because that's how we roll. And we have Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. Bell apostrophe S. Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. It goes great with, like, what I say, game day food. Like if you've got those game day nachos, Boar's Head game day nachos, pair it with the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. Steak, big bowl of red beans and rice. That's perfect. It's an American IPA. You're not going to drink 4 of them, but 1 or 2, it's a delicious beer. 4 years running. 4 years running, ranked number 1. Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. Delicious beer. Tell us what you think. It's an American IPA, and obviously made and brewed in the USA. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're going through... this guy was really bored on Sunday because the NFL games were not that good, which is rare, by the way, as y'all know. And so he sits down and he decides to take all the NFL coaches and what they would be if football didn't exist. So let's get to some of the ones that we talk about more, which, for example, he's got Urban Meyer here. He's got him as a state assemblyman. But here's where it really gets good with some of the ones that we talk about all the time, like Mike McCarthy, who is Dak Prescott's head coach, or is Dak the head coach? Anyway, Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys, would be an electrician if he had his beard. Without his beard, he has Mike McCarthy as a bus driver. Now, here... This is good, too. All right. Mississippi State alum, New York Giants football coach, Joe Judge. He has Joe Judge as a used car salesman whose dad owns the dealership and whose nickname in college was Burp. Now, having been around Joe, Joe is one of those guys. He's a former football player. He's a thick guy. And that is perfect. And he's always, I don't know what it is about, like, the Northeast, Midwest NFL coaches a lot of times compared to some of them in other areas. But when they're wearing, like, for example, Joe Judge is wearing this New York Giants sweatshirt, it's like they're just bigger and bulkier.
Yep.
I don't know if it's because obviously it's colder there. Or, those are really meat and potato cities. I don't know. Maybe it's just a mental thing for me.
The NFC South ones are good too.
Yeah, so let's get into Sean Payton. All right, we talk about Sean Payton all the time. He's one of the best coaches in the world, and he's I think he's a total handful, which makes him even more interesting. He's both brilliant and, loco, but he's absolutely brilliant at now putting together a roster, coaching offense, and, of course, they've got a nasty defense, and they've won a Super Bowl. But they have Sean Payton as a body shop owner. That's pretty good. But most of you don't pay attention to this guy. Matt Rule is the head football coach for the Carolina Panthers, where now Cam Newton is again. And they have Matt Rule, and this is perfect, running a sports bar. Blake, don't you think that one's great?
He looks like he owns a sports bar, but he runs it the whole time. You know, it's like he owns one location and he's there every day. Like, that is exactly what he looks like.
And then Bruce Arians, who coached at Mississippi State twice.
That's Super Bowl champion, Bruce Arians, to you.
It is Super Bowl champion with Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have Bruce Arians as a regional manager, car stereo install at Best Buy. Phenomenal.
Oh, man.
Nobody knows who Arthur Smith is, although he got smoked last night by the New England Patriots. But he's the head football coach for the Atlanta Falcons. And if you were watching Thursday Night Football last night, they showed him several times. And again, he looks like he's 21 years old. But they have Arthur Smith, Atlanta Falcons head coach, as a pest exterminator, which I thought was pretty damn good, too.
How about the Mike Tomlin one, high school guidance counselor? That's a good one.
Dan, good grief, I just saw this.
The Dan Campbell one? Yeah.
Dan
Classic.
Campbell, Mr. Kneecap Biter. Everything you want in your football coach, or maybe not, but you did in 1982.
Everything you want in your strength and conditioning program coordinator.
Yes. Everything you want in your strength and conditioning coach at La Monroe. Yes, no doubt. Yeah, all right, that's a better one. Dan Campbell is the strength and conditioning coach at Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, but this is who they have. And by the way, for our listeners, he was under Sean Payton. Now he's with the Detroit Lions. Head coach. I know, that's insane. Dan Campbell, who has the clip that we dropped on the kneecap biters and all that kind of stuff that he did. They have Dan Campbell as a stunt coordinator. That's pretty damn good.
He looks ripped in that photo, too. Oh, my gosh. He looks like he works out 8 hours a day.
Mike Zimmer is the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and they have Mike Zimmer as head of cardiology at a smallish hospital. Oh, what did they have? Yes! All right, so Sean McVay has these boyish good looks. He's like 35, 36, something like that. And he's with the L.A. Rams, right? And he's got the whole hairdo going and all that. He works out, every day. They have Sean McVay as a political consultant / PR specialist. That's pretty good, too.
That's right on the money.
There was one more in here.
I like the John Harbaugh one where he calls him. He says he looks like a landlord, which is not a job. So good.
Oh, man.
I think my favorite, though, is Andy Reid, barbecue joint owner.
Yeah, that's good. That is. I didn't see this one. How do I say this guy's name? Rich Bisaccia?
Yeah, Bisaccia.
Bisaccia.
He took over for
name, by the way.
Yeah, took over for John Gruden.
Okay,
Raiders.
all right, with the Raiders. Yeah, got it. So he's with the Las Vegas Raiders, where Blake just spent the weekend. They have him as an owner, head chef of a local chain of pizzerias.
He looks
awesome.
like he's been making pizza his entire life.
No question.
He looks like imagine the pizzeria owner from Seinfeld episode. That's Rich Bisaccia. Looks like he belongs in New York selling pizzas at a small, one-room pizza shack in lower Manhattan where it's $38 a slice, but he just kills it because he makes homemade pizza like Nana used to make in Italy.
Yeah, hey, what about NFL Chuck's team, Kevin Stefanski? This is pretty good. The Cleveland Browns head coach, they have Kevin Stefanski as a firefighter / professional hunk. I
got to be honest, that picture they have of him, he looks like he could be a GQ model.
Yeah,
he has a jawline of a Greek god. Good Lord.
Well, there you go. Anything else here?
Speaking of McCarthy and Andy Reid, how are you feeling about my Cowboys cleaning up this weekend?
I don't know if I feel great, even though the Chiefs are trying to find their way. I don't know if I feel great about that game, but I'm hoping the Cowboys come out with the win. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. The Cowboys are more than capable with this team of doing that. Now, the whole Randy Gregory thing, I think, Blake, is a little bit of a, concern.
Yeah.
But
as the Mississippi State defense would tell you, pass rush is important.
Pass rush is important. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys winning.
That's right.
Because I'm a fan of Dak Prescott. But I think, man, it could be a lot. That's a lot of star power, man, between Mahomes and Dak. Those are two of the faces of the league, young, good-looking, and they're really good, both top 5 quarterbacks. It doesn't get any better than that. Those are two committed franchises. Kansas City obviously has had more success as of late. Well, that's an understatement. With both the Super Bowl win and the Super Bowl loss. And they've got a super head coach in Andy Reid. And McCarthy seems to have made a great hire in Dan Quinn. Kellen Moore is coming of age as an offensive coordinator. As you know, Blake, I was not sold on Kellen.
You've been anti-Kellen.
Fair enough. I have been anti-Kellen. I thought that he would be too conservative. It looks to me like he's really – well, first of all, he and Dak have a great relationship. 2, I think he leans on Dak to offer him, hey, what do you want to run?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think, as we've been watching film for, let's midway through the week, there's 60 hours in the film, you see what the defense is doing this week. What do you think? So I think that there is some really, really great communication, which is what business and life is such a big, piece of the puzzle. And I would have to believe they're texting all the time, maybe even talking on the phone all the time. Of course, they're in film room together forever. I think this looks like something that is really, really working. I don't think it is on the offensive side of the football. So I'm coming around to Kellen Moore as long as they don't go conservative, Blake. Is that fair?
I like it, man. I mean, I think what you talked about, too, the relationship between quarterback and play caller, whoever that is, whether it's Sean Payton or Andy Reid as your head coach, your offensive game plan designer, or if it's Kellen Moore, someone like that. I think that relationship is so key, and where you see it manifest itself is what Dak Prescott's been doing at the line of scrimmage this season. Yeah. His ability to manipulate the pass protection, to manipulate the routes run, to audible in and out of different things. He has full command of the offense at a level that very few QB, only your greats get to that point. Your Paytons, your even Eli when he was rolling in New York, Tom Brady, those types of players that control the offense and every little nuance of it. I think that's why you see so much success this year is that even when they're in a bad play, a large portion of the time, Dak's able to get them to the right play.
Yeah. I agree, man. The Kellen Moore, Dak Prescott thing is working. I think that Dak, like you said, I think Dak has a big voice in the room. First of all, I think he's a big voice and an alpha and a presence either way. And I think he's like, hey, this is my offense, and I'm running it. And Kellen Moore's my wingman, and we're going to drive this thing. I just hope they don't run the football too much. Yeah. Especially as we get into crunch time in the NFL. But we'll see. Big game, though, like you said. Cowboys, Chiefs, the number that it puts up will be ridiculous.
Oh, my gosh.
You're just talking about the ratings will be through the roof, and that's also great for Dak and his brand and the Cowboys so on. So let's go to the Ag Up Equipment text line, 601-885-3776. Shark Bite says that Leach would own a pirate bar in the Keys. No doubt. No doubt. You could see that from Leach. He's a roamer, and so he's always kind of bouncing around, evidently, down there in Key West, and you could see him having a bar that he doesn't run by any stretch.
No.
But that he roams through and talks to people and has, way too long conversations. And and then kind of bounces out for a few hours and then bounces back in. I could see
I
that.
could see Leach owning a charter fishing boat that doesn't do any charters.
Yes.
Like he's a charter fishing captain, but he just mysteriously is never out on charter. Somehow still has money. I don't know.
Yeah, and I could just see Leach, kind of taking it around in the bay and being like, all right, that's good. I'm good. Let's go back in. But it could be a conversation piece for sure. Maybe we'll have to think up a one for Lane. In the one done earlier in the year, he was a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Yeah,
I think.
I've seen pharmaceutical sales rep, divorce attorney, and insurance agent. And I think all of those kind of are the same person, aren't they?
Also, I would say golf pro. Not PG, like golf pro at a country club.
Yes, 100%. Like a guy who had a good collegiate career but then got washed up on the tour and never quite made what he was supposed to make. So now he's like a little bitter, like a tin cup situation. Little bitter, stuck at a place he doesn't want to be the golf pro at. He's always like slightly inebriated. Like just the whole the whole thing is a disaster.
A little bit of tin cup?
Yeah, 100. One of my favorite Costner movies. Yeah. I watched Dances with Wolves yesterday, by the way. It's off topic, but Kevin Costner.
Isn't that like a 5-hour movie?
Yeah, it was on TV.
Oh, my God. You had to go through the commercials?
Yeah, it was insane. It was on TV for what felt like the entire day.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a great movie, though.
No, it's a really good movie, no doubt. And Costner, among others, in that movie were really good. But, man, if you throw in commercials, that thing lasts forever.
It's like 6.5 hours for real. But Kevin Costner's one of my favorite actors, for sure.
He's good, man. Is that your favorite Costner movie?
I don't know. No, it's probably not my favorite Costner movie. That would be hard. I'd have to sit down and think about it.
Okay.
He's such a great sports actor in movies that are about sports, but not really about sports. Right? Like Tin Cup's not really about golf. It's about him and his crazy emotional relationships, all that stuff. Like the what's the one where he comes back as a pitcher? The Rookie. He's like something like that. I don't remember what it is.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of them. I don't know how we got to that.
Well, that was amazing radio is what it was. Mark says that Kiffin would be a tennis coach at a country club.
Yes.
I like that too.
Yes, and he hits on all of the like tennis women who come to get training tips. Yeah, absolutely.
So that would be a good one. Leach also looks like a philosophy professor. Pretty much anywhere, university or small college. You could see that for Mike Leach. So that's a good one too. What do we have here from Gabe? Yeah, Mike Leach would be the dude in The Big Lebowski.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
His facial expressions during let's just call it when he did it, whatever he did in the locker room after the game was so good, Blake.
It was the most dad thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my God.
I mean, that is the dad who like comes upstairs to bother his high school son or daughter who's got a bunch of friends over. Like to check on him, but also to kind of like just embarrass him a little bit. And then your friends are like, "Oh, dance, Mr. Leach, dance!" And like that's what he does. That's exactly what happened. It's incredible. I mean, it is the most like 65-year-old man dance I've ever seen in my entire life.
It really is. It was so bad. It was good.
Yes.
Holy hell! All right,
man.
Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Good week of radio. Let me go over kind of what we did real quick, and that way if you missed anything, I'd love for you to get into that. Tom Luganbill was on the show. He did a great job. Steve Robertson was on the show. He weighed in on some things. Jake Gautreaux was on the show, MSU baseball. He did a pretty big deep dive for us. First time we got him since the national championship. And Gautreaux taught Tanner Allen and all sorts of things. That's on the Apple podcast. Search the Out of Bounds Show. Michael Katz stopped by, and he talked about covering game day in Oxford and everything that's going on there. Mike Detillier did a deep dive into the LSU job, which will be filled, you would have to believe sooner than later, after next weekend and after LSU. Who knows? Scott Woodward may not wait, but after the LSU A&M game next weekend, the LSU job could be filled, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We'll see how that looks. Detillier was on the show. We had Dave Bartu on Coach Effect and the fact that Jimbo Fisher is -3 Coach Effect, yet A&M celebrating their season because they beat Bama. I mean, they just got physically manhandled by Ole Miss.
Yep.
They lost to Mississippi State at home and Arkansas on a neutral field in Texas. But all they're thinking about is we beat Bama and we're going to go to, a bowl in Florida that nobody really cares about, Citrus Bowl or something like that. Jimbo Fisher is -3 Coach Effect, got a monster raise and an extended contract. Bartu talks about that. And then we also had Lee Sterling on ParamountSports.com, and he talked about some of the games this weekend. He did a wrong team favored, a blowout special, and a lock of the week, which his lock of the week was Bama. Interesting there, as Arkansas goes to Bama tomorrow. They'll play on the 2:30 CBS game. And then there's been a lot of coaching carousel, silly season, Dan Mullen, what's happening there? Could any of our coaches find their way somewhere else? The two fan bases would like to keep their coaches. Even I think MSU is on board with that now. They should be. Mike's done a good job. Lane's done a good job. They're both good coaches. You have plenty of money, but you don't ever know what's going to open up. And we could have the biggest kind of blue blood opening we've ever had, especially in the modern era. And what we have to forget is forever these jobs didn't come open.
Nope.
Paterno, 40 years at Penn State. Bowden, 30 years at Florida State. Schembechler, 25 years at Michigan. Woody Hayes, 20 years at Ohio State. This just didn't happen when a lot of us were growing up. Tom Osborne was at Nebraska for 25 or 30 years. Well, that's now, over. We don't even know, outside of Saban and Mark Richt, if another dude's going to go that long, and I doubt it, at an SEC school. Right now, if you get somebody for 4 or 5 years, it's incredible.
Kirby Smart's the only guy that could potentially last that long just because of where he is and what he gets to work with.
True. That's
which is scary.
Yeah. Well, all right, good show. We would love for you to go to Apple Podcasts and search the Out of Bounds Show. Love for you to hit subscribe. Apple Podcasts, search the Out of Bounds Show. Hope you have a great weekend. We will be on next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're looking forward to that. And then we'll do a little Thanksgiving and Golden Egg and Rivalry Weekend. And Monday will be nuts, recapping, the Golden Egg and then, of course, the silly season. Have a great weekend. Thanks for listening to the show. Brought to you by Eye Care Professionals and Dr. Kirk Jeffries. We will be back on Monday. I'll be live from Orange Beach. The Whirlwind Tour continues. Thanks for listening to the Out of Bounds Show.